First, let's create a new Foundry project, and to do this, you'll need to install a few dependencies, but we've already created a video about this, so we'll leave a link in the description, and let's proceed with the project creation. So I'll type forge init, and the repository name, so in my case, it would be just tests. So let's check what's inside this repository, and as you can see, we have standard source and test directories. When we go inside, we have a very simple counter contract with a test dedicated for this exact smart contract. So let's add some new functions to see how it really works. And for example, function multiply. As you can see, I already have a recommendation here. And what it does is it multiplies the parameter and the counter that's stored in my contract storage. So this is exactly what I wanted. And now I can test whether it works as expected. So now in the test file, I'll start with function, and it's already recommending test multiply, which is great. As you can see, it's a bit weird because it compares the counter number to 0. And why this happens, it's because the counter starts with 0. So everything multiplied by 0 is still 0. So let's try a different function, like for example, it's already recommending test multiply 2. And what it does, it sets the number to 1 so that you can multiply it, and then it's easier to test. So let's try a different function. For example, function is adult. The recommendation is pretty good. It even set the pure because we are not changing anything in this smart contract. And now let's go back to the test file and test this. And as you can see, it comes up with two examples with Assert Equal 17 and 18. So it's with falses and with true. If you want even more examples, you can start with Assert Equal and add some more. You don't have to write this boilerplate all by yourself. But what about even more advanced scenarios? Like for example, function reset. But with a small tweak here, like for example, recommending that the color of this function must be a smart contract owner. We have a small problem here, which is we don't really have the owner set up in the smart contract, but it's not that hard to do. We can create a new constructor, or even better yet, first a new address public owner, still recommending this, and then a constructor with already set owner by default. And now we are ready to go. Now we can test this function. And for this, we'll need two tests, because first we want to test the test reset as an owner, just like this, setting the number to 1, then resetting, so then it's obviously 0. And then we want to function test reset as not owner. And as you can see, it's not that smart. It can't generate it automatically, and that's because testing in Foundry is maybe not that popular yet. So to do this, we have to add manually two small things. So VM prank and address 0. And what it does, it's only for the next call, so only for this function call, we'll call this as an address of 0. Of course, you can paste any other addresses. So we'll just impersonate somebody else. It's very important that it's right above the function we want to call as a different person, not for example up here. So what happens when we run this? As you can see, it shows an error, and that's because we are still expecting the number to be 0. So we are expecting the other person to trigger the reset. So that's not the correct behavior. What we really expect is, instead of this, to expect VM expect revert. It's already providing the message, and so you need to be sure that you pass the correct message from the same require you expect. So this one. As you can see, if you compile this, it passes, but if you compile something like this, it fails. And it's pretty good to help you with false positives, because for example, it could show a different require with a different error message. So this way you're catching the errors you're exactly looking for, not some different errors, and that might confuse you and some other users of the repository. As you can see, when I type in vm.expect, we have some other options, like for example, expect emit. And this way you can test events in your smart contracts. But for this, we have a separate video about testing in Forge, so make sure to check it. The link is in the description. If you'd like us to create some more advanced videos about testing in Forge, let us know. And for now, just leave a like, subscription, and see you next time.